Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Brendan and welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, it is great to have you. And today we have some crucial information to go over regarding the future of Bitcoin. Now, if you've watched the channel before, this may or may not be a surprise to you. I've actually talked about this probably one or two times over the past month and a half. But Bitcoin is showing a pattern that we have not seen since 2018, especially not on the daily scale. Now, when I say 2018, we're referring back to the bear market of that post-parabolic run that we had in the late part of 2017, topping out at the beginning of 2018 before seeing that dramatic fall of over 70%. Now, I think that we're seeing that one once again, and that's what I want to break down in today's video. So if that sounds interesting at all, make sure you guys stick around for the entire length of this video, as there will be important information discussed the entire way through. Now, much like 2018, Bitcoin had its beautiful parabolic run up, or I guess rather more like 2017. Bitcoin had a beautiful parabolic run up from $4,000 up to $65,000. Now, after this, we saw this head and shoulders pattern. That's all old news, but we had this very nice breakdown below the 200 EMA, rejecting it, the death cross forming on this one-day time scale, and now we're seeing a descending triangle in a beautiful fashion. Now, again, we've talked about this. This isn't anything new. I've said that if this floor breaks of this descending triangle, if it continues to do this, this will be a just continual bearish thing. Now, with this continuing over here, again, Bitcoin is getting lower swing high after lower swing high after lower swing high while holding the same level of support for the most part. Again, there's a little bit of inconsistency here, a little bit of up and downs, maybe some piercing candle actions, but for the most part, the same level of support is holding and resistance is declining downwards or really falling. This is a very dangerous pattern because what this means is that the floor is weakening, and eventually, if this were to play true to technical analysis, this floor will break and the price of Bitcoin should tank. Now, a measured move from here would easily bring us towards the $25,000 area, if not lower, in my opinion. It's very possible, I think that this is actually, I guess, less possible. I think it's very possible that Bitcoin breaks down into the $20,000 from this. It is also possible that Bitcoin could go into the teens. Now, I don't think there's really much of a chance of Bitcoin breaking $10,000. I do see Bitcoin ultimately going down into these $20,000 area because, again, this thing just looks so clean and so nice. And if we take a look back at what happened in 2018, you're going to see just how similar this is. It's going to get a little bit scary as well, but as we zoom all the way back here we go. We saw the death cross forming in the middle of this one, and then we actually have our falling level of resistance with our relative same level of support. We did this a lot until we started gravitating towards the bottom of this one. The floor falls out, and from this point to the bottom, if we're looking at the floor to the bottom, Bitcoin still fell almost another 50% to the downside. So if that's the case in this one, and maybe we can argue that Bitcoin isn't that bearish this time around, but if we want to argue that and say, hey, what would happen if the floor is really only 50% of the way to the downside? Well, what we could argue is that if we measure this out, draw another 50% or so right here, that would leave us to around $15,000. Now, I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as the last time around. Again, that could very well be possible. I've talked about in previous videos about if we were to compare this one to the 2018 crash, what the similarities and retracements would look like. But again, that's a topic for another video. But if we're looking at it simply for this video's sake, a fall of another 50% roughly to the downside would lead us into the teens and right in kind of the middle of that area. Now, let's just say that it's not as bad as the last time, and that we're measuring maybe half that from the lowest point that it's been this year. Well, 25% from the lowest point it's been this year would still be the bottom of the 20s range, leaving us just above the previous all-time high of Bitcoin of around $21,000 to $20,000. Now, I understand that the previous high was just below 20,000, but you guys get the picture here. You know, we're kind of measuring this out saying, well, what if it's not as bad as last time? What if this is maybe just half as bad from the lowest point that we've been? It's still, I see this breaking down into the 20s in the least. Now, I think it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin breaks down again. It's also just a matter of time until Bitcoin sees some sort of a nice retrace and bounce. And Bitcoin really hasn't seen a healthy, large retrace this year, which is making me want to accumulate before this thing even breaks down. The reason for that being is if we go back to 2018 and even other like little bear cycles in between that, Bitcoin will have these very, very nice, healthy bounces back towards the upside. The most, I guess, memorable one is since the bottom, when Bitcoin bottomed and had that bounce right to 14,000. That was about a gain of 350%. But there are plenty of bounces in between here that are able to make profit on, away from leverage trading. Needless to say, I don't think that this is the end of Bitcoin or an eternally bearish thing. Anyone that knows that, while I am realistic about what could happen with the price of this, I'm certainly one to accumulate when a cryptocurrency is low. Now, I am very hesitant to buy altcoins in this area because this is such a risky area, in my opinion, for altcoins. And maybe maybe my voice is a little bit gone. Maybe this is a topic for another video, but if Bitcoin were to break this floor here and it tanks 25%, altcoins might tank 50%, maybe more. I mean, it's possible that a lot of altcoins could and maybe will do that. So I'm very hesitant about buying altcoins in here because I know that if Bitcoin loses a quarter of its value, altcoins could easily lose a half of their value, if not more. Now, a lot of people disagree with that. There are some altcoins that don't always move in correlation to Bitcoin, but as a general consensus, they have a lower market cap, so it takes a lower amount of money to move them more volatilely. And for that reason, that's why we see on the way up, they move more volatilely. They show bigger gains. If Bitcoin moves 100%, maybe an altcoin will move 300%. And the same way that when this falls, if Bitcoin falls 25%, some altcoins might fall double that. Maybe it's just a little bit more. Maybe if Bitcoin falls 10%, they might fall 13, 15. But in general, these altcoins are more volatile because of the size of their market cap and how much money that they have into them. They're just more easily influenced by sellers. Now, with all this being said, I can't emphasize this enough. Yes, this does look very bearish. The death cross, the breakdown, the head and shoulders, the descending triangle, volume even falling off, which is something I haven't talked about. I might even reiterate this in a second video because there's just so much to cover. But on top of all this, the volume just looking grim. Be careful in cryptocurrency right now. Now, again, nothing I say is legal, financial, or tax advice, but I've been making videos on this for quite a while, and I know the bulls really hate this, but so far it's continued to play true. But again, I think that this is going to continue to be bearish. This death cross isn't a good sign. Neither is everything else I mentioned on this daily chart. But eventually, this will see a fairly nice bounce, which is again why I'm accumulating. I think anything at like $33,000, $34,000 below on Bitcoin is where I'm pretty comfortable buying, and I'm okay with accepting the loss and the chance that this might fall even more from where it's at right now. Even if that is another 25, 30, 50%, because I fully believe that eventually Bitcoin will retrace back up above these areas, far above these areas. I really don't see any reason why, number one, in the coming years, I think Bitcoin will hit a new all-time high. But even if it doesn't hit a new all-time high and it retraces 50% of the way from where it's fallen, and we just kind of want to measure that one out. Oop, I measured that just a little bit wrong. That was the wrong tool, but you get the general consensus here. I lost my fib retracement. It's somewhere on here, but you get the general consensus of even if Bitcoin retraces half of the way back up from where it's at right now, maybe that's $50,000. There's still a lot of profit to be made. So long story short, I'm going to go ahead and cut off my rambling here. If you did like this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We got lots of content coming out. Took a nice vacation, which is why we haven't posted, or I haven't posted any videos in just a little bit of time. Got sick right after that vacation, which is why the voice is a little bit froggy. We got lots of videos and lots of comment and content coming out about the world of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So if you want to stay in the loop, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.